Welcome back. Tonight we enter the psychological underworld of narcissists, hoped you would never explore. Because even though the two of you have been separated for a long time, months, years, maybe even more, they still cannot forget you. And the haunting question that lingers in the shadows is this. Why does someone who claimed you were insignificant still think about you every single day? The truth is unsettling. Narcissists don't forget people the way healthy minds do. They archive you like evidence from a crime they never solved. They turn your memory into a private vault of unfinished stories and unhealed wounds. And every time life exposes their emptiness, they open that vault and revisit the version of you they once controlled. You think distance should erase them, but in their world, distance sharpens the obsession. They can't feel bonded, but they can feel ownership. They don't feel love, but they feel possession. And the longer the separation stretches, the more they realize they lost something they believed would stay loyal forever. What they remember isn't who you were. It's what you gave, the attention, the forgiveness, the emotional investment they drained without gratitude. They remember the reflection you provided, the comfort of your devotion, the trust you offer like a sanctuary. And now, stripped of those privileges, they can't forget you because they can't replace you. When they wake up, a thought passes through their mind like a cold draft. Where are you now? Who are you now? And most painful of all, are you happy without them? That possibility terrifies them more than any separation ever could, because your happiness represents a reality where they no longer matter. Your silence didn't just remove you from their life. It rewrote their identity. They thought you would collapse without their validation. They expected you to remain emotionally dependent, orbiting their gravitational pull. But when you didn't return, something inside them cracked. And that crack never healed. Every anniversary of your absence becomes a reminder of their failure, not the relationship's failure, their failure to control the outcome. Narcissists are addicted to predictable endings. And you shatter the one ending they counted on, you begging to be taken back. They scroll through old memories like surveillance footage. They search for proof that you once needed them. They replay moments where they felt powerful, admired, irreplaceable. And each replay hurts more because the person who once elevated them has evolved into someone they can no longer reach. They can't forget you because your absence became a mirror, a brutal, unforgiving mirror reflecting everything they lacked: stability, empathy, self-awareness. The longer you're gone, the more clearly they see their own emptiness. And your presence becomes a ghost that exposes it. Tonight, we analyze why you remain unforgettable to someone who never fully valued you, and why your absence, your silence, continues to echo inside their fractured ego long after the relationship has died. Let's go deeper. Inside the narcissist's mind, your memory isn't sentimental, it's strategic. They categorize you like a resource they lost, a territory that slipped out of their hands. Their thoughts revolve around the same burning question. How did someone they controlled so easily grow beyond their reach? Narcissists cannot process emotional closure. Their psyche works like an open loop, constantly seeking new supply, new praise, new dominance. Yet certain losses don't fade. They remain lodged inside the narcissist like unresolved data, and you, unintentionally, became one of those unresolved files. Your absence disrupts their internal equilibrium. They expected you to remain a background character in their fantasy of importance. Instead, you became the symbol of something they fear, a former victim who escaped the narrative. And that triggers a psychological injury they can't soothe. They remember your reactions, your kindness, your willingness to understand them. Qualities they mistake for weakness until they lose them. Now, in the darkness of separation, those qualities look like rare treasures they squandered. They don't miss you. They miss the version of themselves your presence constructed. Their thoughts swing violently. One moment, they convince themselves you're still attached to them. The next, they panic at the idea that you've moved on completely. This internal chaos creates a mental soundtrack with your name stitched into every beat. Narcissists remember the people they could shape, and they cannot forget the moment you stopped being moldable. Your independence disrupted their identity. Your strength contradicted their assumptions. And your silence became the final act of defiance they never predicted. You live inside their mind as a paradox. Someone they dismissed, yet someone they cannot erase. someone they belittled, yet someone they can't stop analyzing. This contradiction eats at them like a quiet corrosion. Their memory of you becomes distorted. They romanticize what they ruined, exaggerate what they contributed, and rewrite your past responses to make themselves feel significant. But the truth remains, no amount of mental editing makes the separation less painful. Every reminder of you, your growth, your peace, your transformation, feels like an accusation. They can't forget you because your evolution exposes their stagnation. While you healed, they stayed the same, and their ego resents the proof. Your name haunts them not because of love, but because of the psychological threat you represent. Evidence that their power has limits, their influence has boundaries, and their illusion of superiority can crumble. You became unforgettable for the one reason they hate the most. You walked away. The turning point happened silently. One random morning, they realize you haven't returned, not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of growth. And that realization lands like a blow to the chest. Suddenly, the separation isn't reversible. It's permanent, and permanence terrifies them. They expected you to be emotionally frozen, preserved in the last place they left you. But when they sense through subtle signs that you've changed, it destabilizes their internal script. Your evolution becomes a threat to their identity, because it means they no longer define you. A new fear takes hold. What if you see them clearly now? What if you understand their tactics, their manipulation, their emotional vacuum? The idea that you decoded them creates panic. Because once someone truly understands a narcissist, the spell breaks forever. Their thoughts shift from nostalgic to hostile. They feel abandoned by someone they believe they owned. And that sense of betrayal ignites a desperation that festers beneath their calm exterior. They can't forget you because they can't accept a world where you don't revolve around them. Then another realization hits. You're no longer emotionally accessible. That's the one thing they cannot tolerate. Emotional distance is a fortress they can't invade. And every day that fortress grows stronger, reinforced by your clarity. They attempt to recreate your influence with new supply, but it fails. Every new relationship feels flat, predictable, shallow. You accidentally set a standard they can't replicate. And instead of feeling powerful, they feel diminished. This is the moment they begin to fear your memory. They fear your strength, your insight, your resilience. They fear that the person they once underestimated has become someone who sees through their entire facade. They can't forget you because you represent the moment their power slipped. You are the turning point in their narrative, the chapter where the protagonist awakens and the villain loses control. They replay that chapter every day, trying to understand how they miscalculated. Their thoughts become darker as the separation continues. They imagine what you know now. They imagine how you speak about them. They imagine the freedom you feel. And each image stings like a reminder of their own limitations. The balance of power has shifted permanently, and they know it. You became the one thing they can't manipulate. A ghost they can't touch, a memory they can't dominate, a truth they can't rewrite. And that truth keeps them awake at night. This is where their internal collapse begins. Their ego cracks under the pressure of confronting what they lost. They start questioning themselves, but only in ways that preserve their pride. You changed, they tell themselves. You misunderstood. But these excuses don't silence the deeper truth. Their inability to forget you becomes a source of torment. They replay old interactions, not out of love, but out of desperation. They analyze your expressions, your tone, your reactions, searching for signs they can twist into proof that you were still attached. Socially, they feel weaker. Their confidence becomes performative. People close to them notice the irritability, the restlessness, the quiet resentment. They pretend to have moved on, but their mind clings to the memory of someone who escaped their orbit. They attempt distractions, new partners, new projects, new obsessions. But every distraction collapses prematurely. Nothing fills the void you left because nothing gives them the same emotional intensity they drain from you. Their desperation transforms into bitterness. They tell themselves you are ungrateful, dramatic, unloyal. These narratives protect their ego, but they don't soothe the wound. Because deep down they know the truth. You left because they gave you no reason to stay. Their internal panic grows. What if you're genuinely happy now? What if the peace you found feels better than their chaos ever did? The idea that someone could thrive without them feels like a personal attack on their identity. They begin fixating on the possibility that you've outgrown them emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. They imagine a version of you who sees the world clearly, who sees through manipulation instantly, and that version terrifies them. Their ego fractures further when they realize how stable you become. Your silence, once dismissed as melodrama, now looks like evolution. While they stayed the same, you transformed, and that transformation becomes a mirror they cannot look away from. The world around them begins to feel smaller. Their control over people weakens. Their influence fades, and the absence of your emotional intensity makes their life feel hollow. You became unforgettable because you were the turning point in their decline. By now, they're consumed by a constant internal ache, an ache shaped like your absence. They can't forget you not because they love you, but because losing you exposed who they really are, someone who destroys the things that try to love them. Here's the truth they'll never admit. They can't forget you because your departure shattered their illusion of power. You walked out a story they believed only they could end. And that act alone rewrote the narrative of who truly held strength. They remember you because you represented something rare, someone who cared without conditions, someone who saw their potential before you saw their patterns. And even though they abuse that gift, they cannot erase the memory of genuine connection. But you didn't stay trapped in that chapter. You grew. You healed. You rebuilt the pieces of yourself they tried to dismantle. And your resilience became their unspoken defeat. They can't forget you because your healing contradicts everything they believe about themselves. They think about you whenever they're confronted with the emptiness inside, because you once soothed that emptiness, even while it consumed you. Now that you're gone, the emptiness echoes louder, and they have no one to blame but themselves. You became unforgettable not because of the pain, but because of the strength you stepped into after pain. You broke the cycle. You broke the bond. You broke the illusion of their importance. And your freedom stands as proof of their failure. Every day they remember you is another reminder that control is fragile. Influence is temporary. Manipulation has a limit. And the people they underestimate can become the ones who outgrow them completely. But here's what matters. You don't need their memories to validate your healing. Their inability to forget you is not your responsibility. It's their consequence. You owe them nothing for the echoes they created in their own mind. Your journey is no longer about them. It's about reclaiming your identity, your peace, your vision. You survived what was meant to break you, and that survival turned into something more powerful, self-respect. So let them remember you. Let them replay the moments. Let them regret, reanalyze, resent. Their fixation is a shadow of a past you no longer walk in. You are not defined by their thoughts. You are defined by your transformation. And here is your closing truth. They can't forget you because you became the one thing they never expected. Someone who healed, someone who awakened, someone who walked away and never looked back.